All right, so let's talk about how to get you started. As a real estate investor, the most important thing about building this whole portfolio in business isn't just about how to maximize your goal, how to maximize that ROI. On the other side, it's also how to actually get into the transition. It's also really important for us to understand the risk and really know exactly what strategies that we're using in the right sequence based on your current situations. And a lot of the times when we see real estate investors unable to actually make that move initially is really because lack of knowledge, lack of confidence, because there's so many different moving parts. How would you know that the strategy that you're using is actually the right thing for you to do at the current moment? Also, when you're talking to other mortgage broker, realtors, property manager, how do you actually filter out the right information, wrong information? So there's a lot of guesswork in between all of this. And also keep in mind, we're allocating a lot of capital. This isn't about $500, $1,000, $2,000 that you put into the stock market. We're talking about maybe 50K with a bit of leverage. So there's a lot of capital that goes into this business. So as much as we want to figure out exactly how we grow that portfolio, create that passive income for you, we also really need to minimize the risk. So there are three key areas that you want to look into to really be able to minimize the risk. So number one is a strategy that actually fits your current financial situation. The method that we like to use is what we call equity capture method. This will allow us to really create that spread between your offer versus your ARV. And also second thing is the financing. How do you actually get the financing in order? There's so many different creative financing that you can kind of leverage in cross-border investing in the States, which isn't something that we can actually do in Canada. Some of the examples will be sub to you're assuming the mortgage from the seller, credit back on closing. There could be DSCR loan. There's also seller financing, mortgage wrap up. There's so many different ways that you can actually get a deal with a very minimal capital. On top of that, if you build the right connection with the right lender, sometimes you can also get renovation funds covered, upon closing. And those are the options that we actually don't have here in Canada. And that's why it's really important to kind of understand how many different financing structure that you can do to be able to acquire investment properties down the States. And the last thing will be the deal, because here's the thing, if the deal doesn't actually make any sense, you rather pass up that deal than try to acquire it and then really do the value add, because you end up giving yourself a lot of work and honestly the return is just not predictable at that moment. So we created this chart. We understand that when a lot of people are actually looking for the deals, if you have the right strategy and right financing, but you don't have the deal, guess what? You're going to have no margin. If you have a strategy and deal, but you don't have a financing, there's no deal because you can close on the property. If you got a financing deal, but the strategy isn't there or the power team isn't there, you're going to create a lot of instability. So this is why we help a lot of Canadian investors like you to kind of aim more accurately. We're not going to be shooting in the dark. We're going to get you into this spot. And this is why we're very passionate about helping Canadian investors like you to do the cross-border investing, because for us, we were shooting in the dark like this. We're aiming literally everywhere and we had no idea what we're doing because the transition was actually a lot challenging than we expected. Things that we know we experienced in Canada actually doesn't fully translate into the US market. What we do is after making so many different costly mistakes, we end up figuring out how to actually aim very accurately for every single deal that we have going forward. And that's really how we can help you with. If you want to kind of leverage our mistakes, our experience, and kind of transition into the States, going through the hand-holding process with the handbook, where every single week we tackle one thing at a time until you get your first properties, so that you're not gambling about your hard-earned money, hard-earned saving into your very first deal. Because guess what? One big mistake or one bad deal is really going to create that setback for your investment portfolio. So if this resonates with you and you want to kind of get to know exactly how we work, how we can potentially help you with, use the link to fill the application. This will allow us to fully assess your situation. And if it's something that we can help, I look forward to connecting with you. So let's make this call, your real estate portfolio, a priority this year.